Oscar BEVIS, IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast here in Birmingham. Very windy and cold Birmingham. A bit grim today, a bit disappointed because it's a good day. We're going to watch Sam Eggington versus Bilal Jiktu again, which was an absolute treat. I'm joined by the Savage, Sam Eggington, and I said to him, your face looks a lot better now than it did a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it took a while, but yeah, we're back to normal now, to a point.
How did you feel after that fight? Because I remember back in the hotel, you had one hand in an ice bucket, you had ice on the head, and yeah, you looked like you'd been to war, and you had. So how did you feel after that fight?
Yeah, again, it was a heavy night's work.
Understatement.
Yeah, do you know what's mad? Yeah, and I understand I come out, my eyes bust up and that, but it didn't feel like a harder fight as any other fight, really. I mean, it wasn't an easy fight, but it didn't feel, the pace and that didn't feel any different to any of the other fights. It's not until you watch it back and you see the work that we were both doing that you kind of realise why people, were really going wild. But yeah, it's a good night's work. It was a hard night, but yeah, it's a good night.
Yeah, it was definitely a good night watching it from ringside. And you say watching it back, so you obviously have watched it back. How many times have you watched it?
I watched it once, yeah, because I was told to. But
what was that sort of like once for analysis purposes?
Yeah, just to see what people were going wild about. But yeah, it was yeah, I watched it once. Apart from today, this will be my second time.
And when you're in the ring, obviously, you've had so many cracking fights, so many fight of the year contenders. When you were in the ring against Bilal, could you tell at that time that was your most entertaining fight, or did it just sort of match up to the ones with Eggington and the likes of those?
Like I say,
the ones with Cheeseman, sorry, and the likes of those.
Like I say, it didn't feel any worse than any other fight. I mean, it was a hard fight when I was in there, I knew that, but I didn't feel like I was throwing so many punches, and I didn't feel like he was throwing that many punches. But it's not, like I say, it's not until you watch it back that you kind of realise that it was non-stop from the first part to the last. But yeah, when I got out and everyone's going wild, I thought maybe I should watch it back and have a look, and I've watched it back, and yeah, it's a long, hard night.
Was it your hardest night of your professional career?
I wouldn't say so, and that sounds mad, but no, I don't think so. I think I could have made an easier night's work of it, if I'm honest. But I chose not to for certain reasons. I don't know. But on the night, I just thought, now we're gonna go at it. Do you know what a lot of it was? I thought maybe I'd get him out of there, but it was made of sterner stuff than what I thought. And he stood about for the full 12. So yeah, it's a good night, but yeah, it was a long night.
I'd love to know what John's reaction was as well, because I know when I spoke to him after the fight, he was like, "Oh, typical Sam, listened to me for 5 seconds and then didn't listen to me." But obviously, he's now saying fight of the year, and everyone's raving about that fight, so he is pleased. But I'd love to know what John's reaction was immediately after, because he said to me, he was like, "Do you really think Sam listened to me?" And I was like, "No, I know he didn't, because you would not have said to him, go out and have a tear up."
Yeah. Whatever I was doing in the ring, yeah, after in between every round, John was telling me to do the total opposite. So yeah, I didn't listen enough, if I'm honest. And when I did listen, it was working out nice. I was avoiding shots, I was catching with nice shots. But again, and it's easy to say, you should have boxed. But when someone's just, constantly, and I know myself, because that's what I do. When people try and box, you have to pressure them, you have to keep on top of them. So I knew what he was going to do when he was doing it, and I thought, it's easy to say, box this fight, but when someone's coming at you, constantly, it's hard to just, sit back and box, because it's going to be on top of you, on your chest all night. So you had to gain your respect somewhere, and I think once I started to try and get some respect and throw shots and get in tight and have a war, it was hard to revert back to the boxing, So yeah, I don't know. It just is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I speak to Ted Cheeseman quite a lot. I'm quite close with Ted, and he respects you massively because of the fight you had. So do you feel like literally to get a fighter's respect, you have to do that? Because, I mean, Molina will respect you for that fight, but obviously you showed a lot more of your boxing skill, your nous, back foot jab. But you literally feel like to get a fighter's respect, then you have to throw shots, get up close, and be rough.
I think there's certain respect. I mean, I believe you have to give any boxer, that steps in the ring, from bottom to the top of the game, you have to give them respect, because it's always, a risk. But that's just boxers' respect. You have to have respect for people that do that. But I think to fight someone and go all out for 12 rounds, I think that's a certain respect that you have to go through that to get it, sort of thing. So
Without being cringy, can you almost say like you shared a bit of a moment together? I know that sounds really cringy because you are ultimately going to war and trying to take each other's heads off. But could you say like you shared a bit of a moment together? I know that sounds really weird.
you know what? As mad as it's, I know what you're trying to say, and I'm the same. I don't really know how you're gonna explain it, but it's a certain thing that you've done, for half an hour that some people just can't do, and between the periods you can't, and that's why it sounds nasty, but a lot of boxers after retiring they go crazy because it's a hard feeling to match. You can't match it with anything, drink, drugs, skydiving, I don't know. It's still hard to match the adrenaline of training for 8 weeks, knowing someone's training for you, and then going to war for 12 rounds. So yeah, I don't know. It's a weird feeling.
I mean, this is completely off topic. Well, not off topic, but it's taking a bit of a turn, I suppose. Do you think potentially that's why we're seeing now a lot of fighters, and I know financially there's a lot of fighters getting back involved who will be making good money, but do you think it is that little buzz that they miss? That's why we're seeing perhaps fighters who should not be fighting now getting back into the ring. 100%. Example with Anna Holyfield.
100%. I mean, like you say, some people are in tight spots, so need to try and earn a bit of change, but yeah, 100%. I mean, you only have to ask any boxer you interview to mimic the feeling, getting your hand wrapped and just before 10 minutes before a fight. You won't get it anywhere. You won't be able to mimic that. And even when you go out, people have scraps, in the pub. They don't know for 10 weeks that someone's, training for them. Do you know what I mean? It's a scary business, and yeah, it's just a hard thing to mimic, a hard feeling, a hard nerve to mimic. So people are coming back because it's hard to get it from anywhere else.
Do you worry about retirement in that sense? And like I said, I don't want to try and flip this into some real deep life stories interview, but does that make you worry about retirement? Because you don't just, the buzz you must get from fighting because of the sort of fights you have, does it ever worry you where you sit there and think, fuck, what am I actually going to do in 5 years? Because I know that you're not like massively, like you don't want to get involved in boxing on the other side, so if you're not fighting, do you ever think, shit, what am I going to actually do?
Yeah, and do you know what, I ain't got the nerves to be a trainer and watch one of my boxers box. I don't like to watch the lads from the gym box. My nerves are shattered. I don't like it. So there's no way I could train someone. I couldn't do it. So yeah, sometimes I do sit and think like, what happens after this? So I don't know. Maybe I'll do what you do, take your job or something. I don't know, mate. Yeah, I do sit and think sometimes. I think, once it's all over, which I really, if I'm honest, I don't know how long I've got left really. So maybe I should start put some things into place.
There's a job applications in. I'll say one thing: we're not fighting for this job. So if you want the job, Sam, you can take the camera and the mic, and I will fuck it all off. But yeah, so just reverting back to obviously the here and now, we're going to watch this. Are you kind of nervous in a way because sometimes fights don't? Well, I've watched it back and it was like unbelievable to watch back, but sometimes they don't translate to looking as good as they did from ringside. I know you didn't see it from ringside, but everyone's expecting it to look amazing, and some people haven't watched it back yet. So,
I mean, I've watched it back once. I don't get nervous. I mean, it is what it is. I could box, shocking. As long as you've got the win, you've got the win. It's over now. So yeah. I mean, no, I don't get nervous. I mean, like I said, I've only watched it once, and that's only because I was told to. It is what it is. Just water off the duck's back.
Well, everyone here is in for a treat for the screening. Quickly, we'll talk about what's next. I know there's a show on November the 13th, and I said to John, Sam's not going to be on that, and is he? And he said, no, the kid does need a rest. So, not November the 13th, early doors next year?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm honest, pal, yeah, I'd like to get a 6-8 rounder in this year. Yeah?
You're fucked, mate. You need help.
I know, but...
Is there a reason why?
I just like to stay active. I like a reason to make weight. You're not going to get me at weight if I'm not at a fight. You're not doing it. So I just like a reason to be in the gym, to be around it. I don't know. Maybe I won't. I probably won't get one, but that's what I'd like to do. Whether it happens or not, I don't know.
Because you're at that stage of your career where, especially with the last few fights you've had headlining as well, every fight you have is kind of a big deal, especially in the Midlands. So you're not one of them fighters who can just sort of have a quiet 6-rounder because people are still going to be like, where's the Sam Eggington fight? Who's got the link? So people are still interested.
I think a lot of people just, a lot of people at the top of the bill, they don't want to be on the bottom of the card doing a 6-8 rounder. Whereas to me, it don't matter. I don't mind. I'm well in. I do a 4 if I have to. I don't care. As long as it gets me out and I'm active and it's giving me a reason to be in the gym and be around the gym, I'll do it. Whether it'll happen, like I said, whether it'll happen, I don't know. They might tell me no. I'm gonna put the offer in. I'll be on it, but they might just shut me down and tell me to go home. But I'm gonna try.
Well, you are the sort of man who could turn a 4-rounder into a Fight of the Year contender. Maybe that's your next. Challenge.
Yeah, exactly that. Get me someone who's gonna go all out for 4, and I'll do it with them.
And in terms of what's next, obviously you got that belt which does hold some weight. But I know you said you were looking at opportunities, or you want to look at opportunities back down at 154. And obviously you talk about wanting to make weight as well. So there's a lot of things on the table. Is there anything specifically in mind, or any route that you've got, or is it just let's see the biggest thing we can get?
Just offers. I'd like to get some at 154 if I'm honest. I just think I mean, don't get me wrong. I say at middle if their offers are there, But at the moment, there's nothing really happening. And I think if I want to push at 154, I need to do it now. I've won the belt, I've defended the belt, and it was great. But I need to push at 154. I mean, there's no real plans. There never has been. I get offers, I take them, and most of the times they turn great. So yeah, I wait for the offers, but I think 154 is definitely the next route.